Okay, we're going to start recording the first video here for Algebra 1. This video is going to be about the Cartesian coordinate system. You should have learned about the Cartesian coordinate system back in middle school, so hopefully most of this will be review for you. The Cartesian coordinate system is used to graph relationships between quantities. It's composed of two number lines. The number lines are called the x-axis and the y-axis. The x-axis is the one that goes left and right. Here. The y-axis is the one that goes up and down. So the y-axis is here. Once you've drawn the x-axis and y-axis, it splits your graph into four pieces. The four pieces are called quadrants. The prefix quad means four parts. So we have four quadrants on the graph. The way these are labeled can be a little bit confusing until you get used to it. They start off with the graph up here in quadrant 1. The top right portion is called quadrant 1. And the reason they do that is they start all measurements from the positive x-axis. So the positive side for the x is over here. The negative x numbers are over here on the left. So for our labeling system, we start from the positive x-axis, and they measure angles counterclockwise, which is going to be in this direction. In quadrant 1, to the right, we have positive x values, and upward is the positive y-axis. So we also have positive y values. To the right is positive x, to the left is negative x, upward is positive y, and downward will be negative y. So in the first quadrant, we're moving to the right, which is positive x, and up, which is positive y. When we turn counterclockwise, we run into quadrant 2, and it's normally labeled with a Roman numeral 2. Quadrant 2 is different from quadrant 1 in one very special way. For our x values in quadrant 2, we're moving to the left, which means our x values in quadrant 2 are going to be negative. In quadrant 2, we're still above the center. Upward, we have positive y values. If we continue rotating counterclockwise, we're going to run into quadrant 3. Roman numeral 3. When we look at quadrant 3, all of the points in quadrant 3 are going to be found by moving left, which is negative x, and then down, which is negative 1. And if we continue counterclockwise, eventually we will reach quadrant 4. Roman numeral 4 is IV, 1 less than 5. So quadrant 4, the points in quadrant 4 are found by moving to the right, which is positive x, and down, which is negative 1. The other important piece to this Cartesian coordinate system is where the x and y axis meet. That center point on the graph, which is located when you move 0 spaces to the right or left, and 0 spaces up or down, has a special name. The name of the intersection for the x and y axis, the center point for our graph, is called the origin. The origin because that's where we start. So to graph any points, we're going to use this Cartesian coordinate system for output 1. And you need to know the names of the 4 quadrants. You need to know the names and directions of the x and y axis. And you need to know the x and y values for each of the 4 quadrants, which is the blue part here. So if I come along and ever give a quiz on this, a quiz question might be something like, which quadrant includes the point -2, +3? To locate the point -2, +3, the first number is always our x value. So negative x is going to be to the left of center. The second number is our y value. +3 is upward. So -2 is 2 to the left. +3 is 3 up. That puts us in quadrant 2. I could also ask you quiz questions like, what is the horizontal line through the center of the graph called? It's the x-axis. What's the vertical line through the center of the graph called? That's our y-axis. What is the name of the point where the x and y-axis intersect? That's the origin. So those are the basic properties of the Cartesian coordinate system.